right, guys, today is one of those days that honestly feels unreal. Standing right here in front of me is not just a car, it's a legend. It's the 1989 Batmobile. Yeah, the one from Tim Burton's Batman. The car that made an entire generation of kids believe that somewhere out there, a billionaire vigilante was patrolling the streets in the most outrageous machine ever built. And seeing it in person, slowly walking around it as the camera glides from that impossibly long nose to the towering rear fins, you realize this isn't just movie magic. This thing is real. It has weight. It has presence. It feels alive even when it's just sitting still. Look at the front end for a second. The camera slowly moves across that stretched jet-inspired nose cone, and you can see how absurdly long it is. This isn't just long for drama. It's exaggerated, almost theatrical. The designers wanted it to feel like a cross between a 1,930 seconds roadster, a fighter jet, and pure comic book fantasy. And somehow, they nailed it. Here's an interesting fact about this car. The 1989 Batmobile was built on a Chevrolet Impala chassis. Yeah, underneath all this gothic, Art Deco madness is American muscle car DNA. It's kind of wild to think that beneath the armor and curves, there's a familiar backbone holding it all together. As we move along the side, the camera tracing the curvature of those massive fenders, you start to appreciate how low it sits. This car is ridiculously low to the ground, almost like it's hugging the pavement, ready to pounce. The wheel arches are exaggerated, wrapping around those turbine-style wheels that look like they belong on an aircraft. And those rear fins, they're not subtle at all. They rise up dramatically, giving the car that unmistakable silhouette. Even if you saw just the shadow of this thing on a wall, you'd know exactly what it is. Now let's talk about the design philosophy for a second. Back in the late 80s, superhero movies weren't what they are today. This was a big gamble. The Batmobile had to sell the fantasy. It had to convince audiences that Batman wasn't just a guy in a suit, he was a force. And the car became an extension of that persona. Dark, aggressive, elegant, slightly menacing. The glossy black paint doesn't just reflect light, it absorbs it. As the camera slowly circles the car under studio lights, you can see how the curves catch subtle highlights while the rest of the body disappears into shadow. It's cinematic even when it's parked. Now imagine this thing rolling down a dimly lit Gotham street. And speaking of rolling, let's fire it up. You hear that deep rumble as the engine turns over. It's not some tiny prop motor. Many of the 1989 Batmobiles used for filming were powered by a Chevy V8. When you rev it gently, there's this low, throaty growl that feels almost too real for something so fantastical. The camera cuts to the rear, capturing a hint of vibration from those massive fins as the engine idles. It feels like a beast breathing. Here's another cool detail people don't always know. There were actually multiple Batmobiles built for the movie. Some were fully functional driving cars, others were static display models for close-up shots, and some were specialized for stunts. Movie magic, right? But the driving versions could reach respectable speeds. They weren't just pushed around for effect. And when you see one cruising on an open stretch of road, a camera low to the ground, capturing the front end slicing through the air, it's surreal. Traffic literally stops. People don't just look, they stare. Let's step inside for a moment. As the camera leans into the cockpit, you're immediately struck by how tight it feels. This isn't a spacious luxury car, it's a command center. The canopy-style cockpit design feels almost aircraft-inspired. You can imagine Michael Keaton's Batman sitting in here, hands on the wheel, eyes locked forward. The dashboard is packed with buttons and switches, some functional, some purely theatrical. But that's part of the charm. It feels like a control hub for gadgets we only caught glimpses of on screen. The steering wheel is minimal, focused. There's no unnecessary fluff. Everything feels purposeful, even if it's mostly cinematic illusion. One thing I love about this Batmobile is how it blends old-school craftsmanship with movie fantasy. This wasn't designed in a modern CGI-heavy environment. This was sculpted, built, fabricated by hand. The body panels, the custom shaping, the detailing, it all required real artisans. You can actually see subtle imperfections up close, and instead of taking away from it, they add character. It reminds you this is a physical machine, not a digital creation. Now let's take it out for a gentle drive. As it pulls onto the road, you can feel the weight. It's not nimble like a modern sports car. It's deliberate, heavy. Every turn feels dramatic. The steering isn't razor sharp, but that's not the point. This car isn't about lap times, it's about presence. As it cruises, the engine note echoes off nearby buildings, and the long nose seems to stretch endlessly ahead. From the driver's seat, you almost feel like you're piloting something rather than driving it. And here's something else that's fascinating. The flame effect you see in the movie shooting out of the rear, that wasn't just CGI. They actually used a jet engine for that visual effect in some versions. A real jet turbine. Think about that, a jet-powered Batmobile in the late 80s. That's commitment to spectacle. That's practical effects done with ambition. What really makes the 1989 Batmobile special, though, is its cultural impact. This car redefined what a superhero vehicle could be. Before this, comic book cars were often colorful and almost playful. This one was dark, gothic, mature. It matched Tim Burton's vision of Gotham perfectly. And because of that, it became the definitive Batmobile for so many fans. Even today, decades later, when someone says Batmobile, this is the shape many people picture first. As the camera slowly backs away, capturing the full side profile once more, you can see how cohesive the design is. Nothing feels random. Every curve, every line, every exaggerated proportion works together. It's dramatic without being messy. It's theatrical without being cartoonish. And that balance is incredibly hard to achieve. Owning or maintaining something like this isn't like servicing a normal car. From a car service perspective, you're dealing with custom fabrication, rare parts, one-off components. Even something as simple as a body repair isn't simple at all. You're not ordering a fender from a catalog. You're recreating art. And that makes this machine even more special. It's not just a vehicle. It's a rolling sculpture. As we bring it back to a stop and the engine settles into silence, there's this lingering feeling. The Batmobile isn't practical. It's not efficient. It's not comfortable in the conventional sense, but it doesn't need to be. It represents imagination. It represents a time when movie studios built dreams out of steel and fiberglass instead of pixels. And standing next to it, hearing the metal tick softly as it cools down, you can't help but smile. This car isn't just about Batman. It's about what cars can mean to us. They can be more than transportation. They can be symbols, statements, icons. The 1989 Batmobile is proof that when design, storytelling, and engineering collide, you don't just get a car, you get legend. And honestly, being this close to it, watching the camera take one last slow pan from the nose to the towering rear fins, I feel like a kid again. That's the magic of this machine. It doesn't just sit in a garage. It lives in our memories. And every time that engine fires up, for a brief moment, Gotham feels real again.